Hello everybody, this is Linux 101 online tutorial. Alright, I just want to welcome everybody, whether you're here to learn about the Linux or you're here to find some tips or some other ways, like faster way to achieve your goal. This is it. So I won't go to that detail. This is I want to cover like a basic commands on the Linux and yeah, let's go ahead do that. Now, first thing is first, those of you that who are not familiar with Linux, Linux is operating system. Um, you've seen, you work with Windows operating system. Windows is one of the largest operating system out there, which is created by Microsoft. And the Linux is actually open source operating system. So that's the only difference. Otherwise, everything else is almost similar to Windows. Um, Mostly Linux is known for using the command line versus GUIs, which is the graphical interface. Now, don't get me wrong, Linux also has a graphical interface, which just like it looks similar to Windows. Um, you log in, Windows pops, opens up. You enter username, passwords. You see the icons, see everything else, just like Windows, no difference. But Linux is very, very strong in command line. So if you want to be a developer, if you want to understand, or if you want to do things faster, I would recommend using the Linux, like a command line. Okay, I don't want to waste too much time. I want to jump right on to a main point, which is we're going to go over basic commands. We're going to talk about cd, ls, vi commands, rm, make directories, remove directories, touch command, tail, whoami, man, mv, locate, grep, ps, top, glance, history, change mode, change ownership, kill process, less, find, du command, df, date, cp, clear, ssh, whereis, which, useradd, password, and usermod. So those are commands I'm hoping I'm going to cover in this class. Okay, let's waste no time and start with cd. Now, cd is changing the directory. That's the command for cd, short for change directory. Okay, so now first of all, I need to know where I am. What folder am I in? So in order to find out, I'm going to say return me the current working directory. That is pwd. Okay, as you can see, it shows me the path: users, developer, documents, and Linux. This is my current path. I'm inside of a Linux. Okay, so now if I want to know what's the content, what files does a Linux have, I run ls. So it shows me nothing. It's empty, right? Okay, so now let's go ahead and create some files, and then we're going to see how those commands will work. Now, if you're confused, or if this is the first time you're seeing these command lines, which is normal, not a problem, the more you do it, the more you hear, you'll become comfortable. So anytime you get confused or get lost or you get frustrated, you don't know what those are, what commands, not a big deal. That's why we have a man command. Man command is man, which is manual, and then space, you put any commands. Well, basically, if there is a command out there, it's listed in the Linux operating system, it'll tell you what that is. And it gives you all the parameters you need to pass along to execute that command. For example, man pwd. We want to know what that is, right? You just hit enter. Voila. It shows you the return working directory name. So as you can see, it's easy, right? And get out, Q. Okay, back to where we are. And same way with man.ls. There you go. List directory contents. And then also, if you scroll down, you can see all the parameters that you have to pass to customize it, customize your return. So you can say -d, ls -d, give me all the directory lists as a plain files. Okay, and then so on, so on. All right, so we're going to go over some of the basic ones, but the rest of them, I'm going to let you study yourself. Just learn those ones and try on your terminal. All right, there you go. So now we tried ls, right? And then we can dash a l, and then I use the all, so it's easy to remember. So give me the list, and then dash al. What just happened here? What is the difference between ls and ls-all? Well, that's what we're gonna find out. So let's find man ls. Okay. So as you can see, I passed the parameters, two parameters, al. So this is, you don't have to put all, but it's easy to remember. So let's find what the a means. A means include directory entries whose names begin with a dot. Okay, that's what A for. And L means the lowercase letter L, list in long format. If the output is to terminal, a total sum of all the file sizes output on a line before the long string. It just makes your return is nicely more human readable. Okay, so that's what it is. Now, since I don't have anything in that particular directory, which is I'm in the Linux, I'm gonna go ahead and create a file. Now, a couple of ways you can create a file is two major, very, very well-known method. Is one is touch, and the second one is we use the text editor, which is VI or VIM. Okay. Now, if you want to create it, if you want to use a touch basically what it does is the name itself, the command itself, basically literally means touch. You just touch it. That's what it means. You create something with no content in it. You just allocate a memory. Okay. Basically, you're saying, hey, I want you to allocate a memory for this particular file, but don't put it inside anything. It's a zero sub file. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to say touch, and then we're going to say usa.text. Okay. So now if I do this, what basically happens. Oh, another thing that before I do that, I need to mention that the Linux is very, very strict on file permissions, because unless you logged in as a root is like a sudo root is the same thing. So like if you go back to Windows, try to think of one thing. Windows, if you logged in as a user, and if you own that file, you don't need a permission because you own that. But if somebody else owns it, then you have to be an admin in order to be able to modify it or delete it, right? It's the same thing here. Now, I am actually in my folder. I should be able to create one, but just to be on the safe side, so I'm gonna log in as a sudo. Sudo is like a root like this. Root is on a Linux is the same thing as administrator on Windows. Yes, you good? Okay. So root is equal to administrator on Windows. So in order to log in as a root, you just say sudo, okay, su, which is switch user. So sudo switch user. All right, and I enter my password. All right, so now if you see the hash pound, that means I am logged in as the root. And how do I know? Just to make sure that I'm logged on as a root, I just say who am I? Boom. Now it confirms that, let's say even if you logged in as somebody you don't know who you are, who you logged in as, you just type who am I, and it shows root. So, and let's say if you are working on a shared server or a server that has other users logged in, and you want to know who else logged in at this time or right now, you just say who. and that basically show you a list of people who logged on. So, and as you can see, if I'm logged on, it just shows that I have two like a terminal open. Okay. All right. So before we get distracted, let's go back to creating files. So we were on touch, and so I just want to make sure that I am in that directory that I'm supposed to be in, and I'm going to say touch, the name of the file, usa.txt, hit enter. Now nothing happened. It's a good thing. So if I do ls-all, now I see my file. But the only thing is, just like I mentioned, the file size is 0. So that means there's nothing in it. Linux just allocated enough space, actually it's extendable space, like a beginning space, just to have a file name here. And then, as you can see, this is the group. And then I have a username. This file is owned by root. And then this is the file permissions. So we'll talk about that a little bit later down the road, down there somewhere in the middle of the video. But right now, what you need to know is you need to distinguish between just regular file and directory. So if you notice, anything starts with a D, it's a directory. Okay. So, and as you can see, this is a file, and the first column and the second column and third column, basically the first column is the user, and this is the group, and this is others. All right, so this is actually the root. Root has reading and writing permission. So reading and writing permissions here. So, well, since we are talking about file permissions, let's go ahead and talk about how we can change these file name ownership to somebody else other than root. So then what we're gonna do is change owner, chown, chown. Okay, and I'm gonna change this to developer, and the file name or directory name, change developer us. Okay, so if I do ls-all, now if you look at the difference, there's a root here, and I execute the chown developer, which is username developer, and the file name. Now this became developer. Okay, so once again, chown developer us text. Now, if you're really curious what the chown is, you can just say like that and change file owner and group. Okay, cool. Now, what we're gonna do is now we create an empty file. What are we gonna do with this? Well, I guess we're gonna modify it, right? We're gonna add some content in it. We have to, if I don't add content to that file, then it's just useless. It stays there. So how we're gonna do this? The one way is we can use the vi, vim, or nano. So vi or vim or nano. So vi, vim is almost the same thing. It's just a little bit of different function, like features, but otherwise the same thing. And nano is another type of the text editor for the Linux. So let's keep it simple. I'm going to use the vi, which is all vim. Okay. And then, if that case, I'm going to type. So basically, what I'm saying is, I want you to use the text editor. Open these US text with the text editor called vim. That's all I'm saying. So vim is basically executable file, right? It's executable command. It's passing this parameter file name, and I'm basically saying open this usa.txt with this notepad. Notepad is like a Windows, but in this case we're saying vim. If I hit enter, apparently we don't have anything because we did not we did not enter any content. We just create an empty file. So vim is like it has a two modes. One mode is a read mode and then the write mode. So in this case, by default, when you open up, it is on read mode. Basically, you can read it. Of course, you can execute some commands, like you can delete without being into in the read mode, write mode. You can search, you can do replace, you can do all the stuff, not a problem. But if you really want to write something, you have to know some commands, like you need to know those letters. Okay, for example, if I want to say hello here, if I write something here, I need to type letter I, okay, in order to get into writing mode. Like I is for insert mode. Okay, so I'm gonna say welcome. Okay, welcome to Linux 101 basic commands tutorial by John Toshmatov. Okay, so now so we are in the text mode, in the insert mode. We can write whatever we want. You know, we can take text, we can whatever. Boom, boom. Okay. Now, how are you gonna save it? Well, save it is easy. So you hit the escape button, escape. Every time you wanna change the mode, you hit the escape button. Escape on the far left, on the left hand side of your keyboard. Escape button. So when you escape button, you basically now you're not in the insert mode, you are in the reading mode. Okay, so that's what it is. Every time you want to get out of the mode, you go back to the reading mode, escape. So now, if I want to save, anytime you want to execute command in VI, you have to type double colon, okay, and then W. W means save, like a write. That's what it means. And then Q means I want you to save it and quit or close the editor. Now, what if I want to just stay there? I just say basically double colon and W. I'm still in that file, so I haven't left. But what if I want to leave? Then I would just say W Q. Q is for quit, and then it basically saves it and then quits it. So let's go back to that file again. As you see, it's saved. Now let's talk about a little bit of some basic commands here. Now, if I want to delete uh, certain things here, so what I do is actually, if I want to delete right now, I know this is I need to delete. I just type dd right here. So let's start from there. So I'm gonna say I for insert. So I'm gonna say delete this line. Okay. So now I'm in the insert mode. The delete command only works in read mode. So I'm gonna escape. Then I'm gonna type dd right here. So dd, as long as the cursor is on that line. So I'm gonna say dd. It's gone. dd. It's gone. Or I can do things like d, just one d, and then number of lines. Like say I want 1, 2 lines. I'm gonna say 2 and hit enter. What just happened here? So dd is basically deletes the current line, and if you want to delete more than current line and you know how many, so you just say letter D, like a small capital letter D, and the number of lines you want to delete. So D, let's say 5, and then hit enter. Okay. Now, if you want to go back, like undo it, you just escape one more time, and then U, which is undo. Okay. All right. Cool. So now you have a little bit of better understanding now VIM. So now let's say if you want to say, for example, you want to write something under under the right here between WO and WE, you just type 0. I mean, not 0, O. O basically is below that file. Okay, you can write that like that, and you can basically jump. So if you want to use the go up, either you can use your arrows up and down, left and right, or you can say J or K up and down, or you can say H for the left, and I'm just typing all the letters here. So, and all different like letters here you can use. Now, sometimes you might have thousands of lines, right? You don't want to go through certain things, and let's say you're looking for a specific keyword. So how can we search it? Well, easy. So what we can do is make sure you're on a read mode. So escape, and then /, and then let's say I'm looking for the word basic. All right. So and now it's basically it finds the letter like word and it highlights it, and then right there. So since I only have one, so I'm gonna go ahead copy these. Okay. And I will probably put like many, okay? So let's go ahead save that. And I'm searching for the word Linux. I do Linux, and I'm gonna continue search for next found result. I just type and next and next. Look at that. Okay. And if I want to go back, I like a search backward, capital N. Okay. All right. So this is basically is searching inside of editor. Let's see what else we got here. I mean, we got replace, and we can do pretty much delete, insert. That's all you need to know. That's the basic stuff. Replace, search, replace, and delete, and move around different. And yeah, that's about it. That's a different command basically. So now if you want to go to the last end of the cursor, end of the line, you just say Control A, basically. Okay, see, it just puts you in the right in the mode. All right, let's go ahead, save this and quit. Okay, so now you have a better understanding, right? So if you saw that I created a file by using the command touch, which is an empty content file. Now, if I want to create a new one, I just say vim. I'm going to say New York .text. Okay. As you can see, it opens up brand new file. If this new underscore York.txt exists, what it does is it opens up the existing file. If it doesn't exist, it creates a new one. So I'm going to say I live in New York City and I love this city. Boom, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and save this. Saving the same thing, escape, and then double colon, WQ, and then actually exclamation. You don't have to put it, but if you put it, it's fine. But some distributions of Linux flavors, they prefer W, like I'm not W, a bang sign, like an exclamation. Okay, cool. Let's move on to next item. Let's talk about the RM. RM is basically removing files or directory. So if it is a directory, then you can say rm directory and the directory name. But directory has to be empty. Otherwise, it's going to complain that, hey, you cannot delete this directory because the directory contains some files in it. Now, rm, basically remove. That's what it means. Now, if I want to delete New York test right there, since I'm already logged on as a root, which is sudo, I don't need to ask permission. I can just delete it. Okay, so before we delete, let's look at that one, make sure we have that. So as you can see right there, New York is owned by root. I'm going to go ahead and delete this now. Remove, and then new. By the way, another trick is if you know first or 2 or 3 letters of the file name, all you have to do is just type that and then hit the tab button. It fills in for you. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna delete. List all. Now New York is gone. Okay. Cool. Next one is Let's open up the USA.txt. Okay, so I'm going to do vim again, USA.txt. For example, I'm going to write something here. I'm going to say O, letter O, just type letter O, and actually enters into insert mode and puts the cursor right under that, whatever the cursor was on. I'm going to say this is my last line. Okay, I'm going to save that, escape, colon, double colon, and then WQA. So I'm out of there. Now let's say there are a couple of ways you can read the file. So one is called head, second is tail, and the other one is cat, like this, cat USA. Look at that. It displays right on the screen without entering any mode. It's just basically along the line right there. Okay. The other one is head. Head basically means I want you to read the top lines of the file. So head USA. Look at that. Welcome to Linux 101 basic command tutorial by John Toshmato. Okay. So it's basically reading the top ones. If you're interested only you want to see the top, then you just say head, because that way you don't have to bring up entire file. Now, and on the opposite side, if you want to read something on the bottom, you just say tail, and then the file name USA. Now it's displaying only the last last lines in the file on the bottom here. Okay. All right. So we're familiar now. Like I said, anytime you get confused, you always do man tail. How's that? It's easy, right? And then once you know those, let's say, oh, okay, tail, I know what that is. Display the last part of a file, and then you can start playing around with the parameters. See that? So EF. So let's talk about just one randomly. I'm gonna pick the EF. Okay. So let's quit and go back. And then I'm gonna say T tail dash F. What does this mean? What's the difference between just regular tail and with F dash F? Well, this parameter F is basically what it means is it's widely used for logs, like monitoring the live logs. And you know the logs. Logs are types of files where you record certain activities, history, or some events-based patterns in that log. For example, if you have a web server, and you want to record all those errors, and that's what basically that's the file. You're gonna save those patterns or those activities in that file. And let's say if you do the tail F and US text, it's basically the same thing, tail F, but instead of opening up the file, what it does is opens up and listens to any kind of activities. Let's say if one of your coworker or classmate or someone that opening up and modifying that particular USA text from other locations, and basically the moment your partner, your coworkers saves the work, basically it shows up here. You don't have to tail USA text or open up. It just automatically listens basically. So this is great for working with logs and troubleshooting errors and problems. Okay. All right. So to get out is Control C. We're out of here. Now let's talk about changing the names in the file. So I'm going to do ls-l. As you can see, this is very, very frequently used command. ls, always we're going to be using. So let's say I'm going to change this to the USA to, let's say, Iowa text. Okay. So I'm going to say mv. It's basically move the file. Move. That's what it means. Move. And literally, we are moving, actually. That's what it means, right? So I'm going to say move USA to iowa.txt. Okay, move. So if I do that, and then go back to run ls-l, all, what happened to USA? Well, we just removed it.